I want to first start off by saying this podcast is rated explicit because of the use of one or two words, which may be a little bit controversial. It is dedicated to the quote unquote empowerment that's been created from the song WAP and a Netflix movie, which will not be named, that has cost them over $9 billion in one day. Stay tuned. So Netflix lost $9 billion in one day. $9 billion in one day because of a certain movie, which ironically I have to censor, but it has to deal with a 10, 11-year-old dance team. I'm sure you've heard about it by now. But yes. So I find it very ironic. First off, I dug in a little bit more into how this movie has been allowed to play, but Gone with the Wind was removed. Now, Gone with the Wind was removed from Netflix because of racist undertones at the time it was created. I'm not in any way, shape, or fashion advocating for racism. Not at all. But if I would look at the pecking order of what I feel is a little bit more offensive and destructive to society, I'm going to have to go with pedophilia or promotion of pedophilia or indirectly influenced pedophilia. I have a daughter, and for me, I would be more offended seeing a 10 or 11-year-old, twerking on a movie that's going to be watched by possibly millions with the reach that Netflix has. So the people have spoken for them to cancel subscriptions and for Netflix to lose $9 billion. Now, it's not like the company is just going to go bankrupt overnight and close its doors. But again, facts don't have feelings, or at least in this case, the people have feelings, which led to the fact of $9 billion being lost. This reminds me a lot of when people go to the voting booth. You can argue, for the year and a half leading up to campaigns and going out there to vote, what matters ultimately are the statistics of the vote, not all the drama. So while others are saying, well, this story is one that needs to be told, and people are just freaking out. I mean, you literally have people that are in support of this film, but the majority, okay, including politicians, as much as we don't trust some of them, they're even going out of their way to investigate this movie. What do politicians have to gain other than leading with their character? Right? The little sliver of hope we have for politicians, which is that they defend us, they represent us. Well, a couple of them are doing the right thing. And I'm not going to name any names because then people think I'm being divisive by a political party. It's something that annoys me. It's something that I deal with my friends and family. The second I mention one, they think I automatically must agree with everything that he or she says, or that I'm part of their political party. Not at all. So that's why I'm going to save the headaches. You can look up the politicians that are supporting the cancellation and investigation of the film I'm talking about. It almost sounds like Itzies. Okay, it starts with a C and ends with Itzies. You can probably figure it out if you haven't by now. So what say you? I mean, this is very perplexing because I'm going to talk in the next section of what I feel about this word empowerment. So empowerment. I keep hearing the word being thrown around. And I often wonder, what does empowerment mean? When, especially it's been used more for a woman being empowered. Now, if empowered means doing something out of spite for men, or because, it's like, hey, I'm going to do it anyway. A man doesn't need to tell me what to do. I'm all for that. Hey, that makes sense. You don't need to be controlled by anyone. I got that. If you feel like you have been controlled. But I don't agree with, empowerment being a blank check for thoughtism. Thoughtism being, acting like a hoe. Okay, I guess this word just definitely made my podcast episode explicit, but this is the struggle, is that now it's being used as a blank check to just do what you want. And what's funny, what's ironic is who is feeding this quote unquote empowerment when you are acting like a, what? I won't repeat again. Who's paying for that demand? You actually are being controlled. If you think about it, if you're empowered to do something that has nothing to do with men, have at it. Okay? No one's controlling you. Do your thing. You're stronger. You're more confident. Do your thing. Control your life. Control your rights. But when you're using empowerment as a blank check to twerk, to do this and say, oh, I'm an empowered woman. I am a strong, independent, empowered woman. You are still giving in to the chains of the patriarchal American system. You still are. You're feeding that. You're still a slave to a man's wants. And you're a slave, you're getting paid, but you're a slave because of the money part. You are actually continuing the narrative of submitting to men. And what's funny is you have it so twisted that you say, well, if they're going to pay for it, who cares? You are still continuing the narrative that your body has more value than your brain. WAP is not a good song. It's not a quality song. I'm not talking about the lyrics. We already know about the lyrics. It's not a, it's not a Lauryn Hill. It's not an Erykah Badu. It's not old school Mariah Carey. None of that. It's not MC Light. No, it's not even like, the only thing it has is it's well produced. It's catchy production, which again is part of the bubblegum hip hop going out nowadays. Bubblegum hip hop, bubblegum pop. They're starting to get YouTube influencers that are creating music because they know how dumb Americans have gotten. The Cash Me Outside girl is now, Bad Baby. Why? Because people are getting dumb and more distracted. You being part of this empowerment movement, you are continuing the narrative to keep people dumb, right? Because we want fast entertainment, and you're actually still holding women down. If you really want to be empowered, do things not because, well, he's going to pay for it anyway. You're pimping yourself. Don't do that. Instead, say, we need to feel empowered to get a stronger engineering team when it comes to a certain university, right? There's not enough women when it comes to engineers, but yet we have highly qualified women that have graduated from this program and yet are not part of this association or society. To me, that's empowerment. Because what I don't want is that women get into their own civil war based off of this word empowerment. Someone asks you to raise your standard class-wise. That doesn't mean you're being classy out of spite of men or for men. Classy is because you just handle yourself a certain way. People respect class. Okay, that's just, it doesn't mean you're being fake. It doesn't mean you're being inauthentic. When you're classy, that means you've shown enough self-discipline to be like, hey, I can be a citizen of the world. I can act right if I'm in church. I can act right if I'm in a business meeting, if I'm in front of a group of people. There's just a swagger of class about you. And that doesn't mean you're better than someone or whatnot, but quit using the word empowerment as if you really do feel like there's now power and independence given your way. There is not if you're doing stuff like WAP and that type of culture. Sorry to say it. And if you're pissed off, I actually want you to state your points. Don't just come on here and be all pissy-wissy about it, but you don't have any real points. Okay? And trust me on this. As a male dating coach, as a man, as a military man with a lot of masculine testosterone inside me, just because I don't agree with WAP doesn't mean I can't make some WAP happen. Okay, let's get that right. Because that's another argument. A lot of people get into those quick hits. Well, you're just mad, that she got a dry one. I just know that I'd rather push class into this society than some fake empowerment crap that, even if I'm going to protect my kid from, it's still out there. It's still out there. And then a grown ass woman has to see that as the example of empowerment. Get out of here with this. Here's another thing. Quit using the argument of, well, y'all had dirty music back in the 90s. Y'all had this and that. We are at a point where things can be shared and spread. Nobody was getting on camera back then, okay? No teenagers were getting on camera back then trying to wobble their ass in front of people. That's the difference. Stuff can stick out there on the internet. I don't think this would be one of those cases where you're trying to get a job and all of a sudden your boss is like, hey, we saw you whopping back in 2020 and you're trying to be the vice president of sales for a company. It could. I mean, it could. I don't think so because so many people flooded it that it's going to be kind of hard to keep track of who did a video and whatnot. But quit using that as an argument. Y'all had dirty music, so why y'all messing with us? Because we can. Because to me, empowerment, okay, just on my last section, empowerment deals with both men and women. I'm empowered to my opinion. Hell, as a military man, I defend the right for you to speak what's on your mind, okay? We're the ones killing this safe space when it comes to First Amendment. Somebody don't agree with you, bam, just, they lose their job all of a sudden because now you're trying to twist it to make it sound like they're racist. It's called the straw man argument. Some of y'all can keep up with that. Some people, again, y'all on some basics when it comes to argument. So yeah, I'm going in on this episode because I am furious at the juvenile, below the belt arguments when someone says, hey, I'm not really feeling this song. They are empowered to their opinion, okay? Do not say the you do you, because guess what? If there was a song about serial killers and pedophilia, but it sounded good, the common person, okay? I'm not going to say the common person. We're smarter than that. A couple steps below the common person, the one who just wants fast entertainment, they're like, damn, that song is fire. Even though it's talking about pedophilia, it could be talking about serial killers. Man, that beat is bumping. That's the kind of society we're in. And then all of a sudden, when you call them out on it and you say, hey, this is wrong. Like, this song is literally talking about playing with little kids, but the beat is fire. Or they'll come back and say, well, that artist is a hero and standing up for what we believe in and being able to fully express yourself in the First Amendment. No, do not embolden idiots. This has nothing to do with liberal conservative thought. That's a problem, okay? that I'm countering thoughts, not just for my daughter, but for women themselves. You can't argue all men aren't, you know what, and then act a certain way. Act classy, not because of other men. Just do it, period. Period. Any historical representation of women, most historical representation of women, they had class to them even when they were truly empowered in leadership positions. Look at the Mongolian Empire. Okay, look at Cleopatra. Did she seduce men? Yes. Was she a thought in sleeping around with everyone and promoting promiscuity? I don't think so. From the historical records, she knew how to seduce men, but she was also a strategic leader, diplomat. But yes, she was sexy. She did exude sexiness, but not thoughtism. There's a difference there. A woman can exude her sexiness, her attractive self, but then leave something to the imagination, not just looks wise, but the way she speaks, the way she exudes herself. That's the difference between a classy woman and a ratchet woman who tries to hide behind empowerment. I used to have a crush on Cardi B. I used to think, man, she's so cute, she's so strong, so loud, her laugh. And then it went away. It went away namely because I was reminded I really don't like all that much plastic done on a woman. They should be able to be empowered, since you want to throw that word around. They should be empowered to just feel beautiful themselves. So, I just didn't like the whole Hollywood being done up type of look. Either way, look, I know I've made my point, but this is more of a cathartic experience for me. I had to get it out, especially when Netflix has lost over $9 billion in a day. We know what the deal is. We know that there's levels to this game when it comes to what should be out there and what should not. And, if you hear this and you disagree, don't come up to me with some stupid arguments. Actually have some rationale behind it. Tell me how WAP is truly empowering women. Tell me how the movie I was talking about is empowering little girls compared to educational systems and pushing towards woman programs. Whether it's woman programs that educate people on sexual awareness, not pedophilia, sexual awareness, education, athletic programs. Tell me if that movie pushes a narrative that way, or if the narrative is an excuse to slip in this movie that promotes pedophilia. Let me know which one you think that goes. And if you do agree with me, okay, let's also get passionate about it. If you do agree with me, if there's things that you think I should have added or that I forgot, let me know, because I'm not about this life. I'm not about this like we're just gonna sit back, because if you don't agree with it, then you're gonna be chastised and you're gonna be looked at this enemy of the state because you're trying to control us. No, I'm trying to set standards for both men and women. If you've tuned in long enough, you know that I coach both men and women. I got standards for both. Shoot, if anything, I'm actually trying to truly show you the power you got without having to act like a thought. If all men were blind, would you have to act like a thought? No. No, you wouldn't. Okay? But you act that way because we have the power to pay for that demand. Right? You're the supply, we create the demand. Imagine that. If we were all blind, if every man was blind, you didn't have to act a certain way. Then y'all can just dress up for each other. Maybe y'all can fight amongst each other on who's the biggest thought, even though no men are watching. Think about that, right? So yeah, I mean, this might be a rant. This might be a random rant, but it needed to be said. I, as a parent, I'm going to control what my daughter watches. I got that. But guess what? Now I got to control. Now I got to take the exit. If she sees this cutesies movie, I'm going to be like, nah, I'm not trying to have you act like that, because I know how some men are. Okay, all of a sudden you feel empowered to start twerking, and you're going into 3rd or 4th grade and you think it's cool to twerk. That's not being empowered, because you're trying to get attention from guys that way. Move in silence, work on your education, work on your smarts. So those same guys, those knuckleheads, are working at McDonald's serving you fries. And if you don't like McDonald's, they're serving you coffee, decades later. That's empowerment. But come on. Some of y'all are trying to use this as a blank check, and I'm not having it. So I'm going to give an example of what I have to personally do here. And it's the fact that I take a risk in doing episodes like this, because it polarizes people. There's going to be an assumption, a strong assumption from a crowd that's going to say, he don't like women, or he's trying to control what we do. And I'm not sure if you got the message of what I was saying in the podcast, in this entire episode. Is I love women in every shape and size. I love women. I love your brains. I love like my female friends. I love the ones I'm attracted to. I love my family members that are women, and their crazy stories and their personalities. Do not get it twisted. I'm not one of these raging red pill guys that only coaches men, hates on women, and you won't know any better that he does that when you see him in his other job, his professional job, his real job. I love women. I love women so much that I think you can do better. And you should not let other women play you into, again, this word called empowerment. Look around other cultures, okay? We are a lot more than just the American culture. And look at the way that women act in other countries. Now, unfortunately, yes, we have some other, especially in some Middle Eastern countries where women can't drive and some of them can't vote. So there, there's a huge gap when it comes to equality. But I'll take, for example, you look at some of the European countries, some of the Asian countries, Latin American countries. I kid you not, they know, I'm going to use the Latin American countries, because that's where I can identify with the most. They can dress sexy, but classy. I mean, I've seen women in their, 50s, and I'm like, God. But they got some class about them, right? They got the nice designer sunshades. They got that nice dress, but the dress is still, it's tight enough, but just right tight. Not looking like she really, really trying to grab attention. She's got a swagger and aura about her, right? And I say that because as a Puerto Rican, I've seen that on the island. But the difference is when you see the woman who she's ratchet, she don't know any better. She's coming in with those tight shorts, right? Probably got at the outlet mall. You can see the panty lines, real done up, where she's trying to show a lot of cleavage. And I get it. She's got the right to dress like that, but she's going to be viewed a certain way. Facts. Okay, I'm sorry. Facts. She's going to be viewed a certain way by her own peers, and especially by men. And she thinks, "Ooh, man, I'm doing my thing. I'm looking sexy." Some men know, man, you could have tightened that up clothing wise. To me, it's sexy when there's a little bit of class, a little left to the imagination. I'm gonna go for that. If a woman is up on game on how she dresses and how she carries herself, shoot, to me, that's like, bam. She's gonna intimidate a certain kind of guy, which is good. That's truly empowered. It's like, shoot, I'm doing my thing and I'm looking good in a classy way. That's the reason that even class exists as a contextual term. Class, there's a division of people that not only are making money, right? If you want to talk about classism, it's not just about, this person is in the upper middle class. This person is above class, average class. there's class in the way you act. You can be the richest person but act like an idiot, a raging idiot, and you have low class. And then there's women and men that could be way below the poverty line, but they act with class. They are rich in class. The way they talk to people, the way they lead with humility and respect, the way they dress, the attention they're trying to get. Imagine feeling empowered without having to grab attention. When you have to grab attention instead of just automatically get it in a smooth way, come on now. All right, we already know what we're talking about. But I wanted to wrap it up by saying that do not get it twisted thinking, oh, I hate women, I'm trying to control y'all. Not at all. Okay, I'm surrounded by women. My dog, I got two sisters, I got a daughter. Like, I'm surrounded. I got no brothers. Okay, I got a lot of brothers, like friends, but I got no brothers, no biological. So I am surrounded by women, and I love y'all. Okay, I really do. Actually, I want y'all to do better. I don't want y'all to be supporting this WAP movement. I don't want y'all to be supporting that Netflix movie. Okay, we can all do better.